And crafty people and stampers out there. Thank you for joining me tonight or watching the replay. This is Diane, the Creative Inkster, coming to you live from Guelph, Ontario in Canada. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I love to share different projects with you a few times a week over Facebook Live. And this night is Thursday, and on Thursday we do 3D projects. This cute little box with a little Velcro closure is what we're going to make tonight. I'm going to show you how to make it quite quickly. It only takes a few supplies and a couple of, not even 2 full sheets of cardstock. So let's get started on this one. You're going to need a few pieces of cardstock. So let's get those measurements out here. I'm going to show you a little cheat sheet here. So my piece that goes, whoops, my box is this piece, Just Jade, and it measures 6 inches by 5.5, and we're going to score it on all 4 sides at 1 inch. The next piece is the piece that wraps around it that we have in Calypso Coral, and this piece measures 8.25 inches by 4.25 inches, and we're going to score it at 3 5/8 and 4.25. I'll repeat that when we get to the scoring stage. And then there's a little band that goes on here that you'll need in a complementary color. So I'm doing this in Calypso Coral as well. It's 4.5 wide by 1.25 long. And we're going to score it on the 4.5 inch side at 1 3/4 and 2 3/4. And then to decorate, I've got 2 pieces of DSP or patterned paper, and they measure 3 5/8 wide. Yes, I think I got those 2 mixed up. 3 5/8 by 4. And they both measure the same because we're going to put one on the front and one on the back. All right, let's get going. Oh, and then I've got a little decoration, which is a little butterfly from Butterfly Wings dies, and a circle from our layering circle. So here's what I use for my layering circles. I put them on these rings. There are scallop ones and plain edged ones, and I hang them up on a magnetic board so they're easily accessible. And this one I use the 5th one in from the outside. You just use whatever fits for your project. Okay, so we'll tuck those aside. Now let's get scoring. So I'm going to use my Simply Scored. Here it is. I always have 2, oh, you can't even see those on camera. So I have my 2 markers up here. Along here you have inches, and along this side inches as well for measuring. And I have these little pointers on here, always at 4.25 and 5.5, because that's when I'm usually making cards and that's the size I need. So for the box, we need a piece which is 6 inches wide by 5.5 inches long, and we're going to score it at 1 inch on all 4 sides. When I score with cardstock, I typically use the thinner edge of the score tool that comes with it. And when I use Designer Series paper and I'm scoring, I'll use the thicker edge. And that's because it won't tear the paper as easily or run the risk of tearing the paper. So we scored that. We'll set it aside for cutting in a moment. We can get all this scoring done at once. Here's our wrap, which is 8.25 wide by 4.25 long. And we're going to score it at 3 5/8 and again at 4.25. 3 5/8 and 4.25. That doesn't seem right. Hold on. Something doesn't seem right. 3 5/8 and that's 1 inch. Yeah, 3 5/8 and 4 5/8. Just gonna double check that. So 3 5/8 and 4 5/8. Yeah, sorry, 4 5/8. So you got a 1 inch piece in the center there. I'm gonna change this in case we pull it out again. That's 5/8. Okay, and then we've got the band piece, which is 4.5 inches wide by 1 1/4 long. And we're going to score it at 1 3/4, which is here, and 2 3/4. And that makes total sense because it's a 1-inch height box. Okie dokie. That is all our scoring done. Let's get that out of the way. Now we're going to get going on the box. So you need your paper snips for this, and what you're going to do is cut up on the 4 edges. So of your 4 corners in the end, you're going to cut up there. You're going to turn it around 180 degrees and cut up the same way. So you're cutting in the same direction. I've done it before we do this, where we do this pinwheel cut, which is a little bit different, but typically this is what we're doing. All right, now it's ready to make, now it's time to make the box. You are going to need a bone folder, something to burnish the edges with. So I'm going to fold up all of those score lines all the way around. Here we go. That's 3 sides and the 4th side. This is your standard box. No matter what you do, that's what you do to make a box, no matter what the dimensions are. So these little flap things, they're going to go in here, inside, and that's where we're going to put our adhesive, is on that little flap right here. So we can flip it over, and you have a couple of options. You have Stampin' Seal, which is a good, strong adhesive for boxes. You've got tear and tape, which is probably one of the best, and you've got liquid glue. Now I'm going to use the liquid glue on this project, but not for this part, because I want it to dry fairly quickly on camera. And so I'm going to put down, actually I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus, but like you could use any one of these for the entire project. So I get a chance to show you different things. I love a tape runner. I love using it to get my adhesive down here. It's a small area too that I'm working on, so I have a little bit more control. And then I'm going to just pop these 4 pieces in like that on the inside. You can trim them down and miter the edges if you like, but this is quick and dirty, and this works just fine for what this box is going to be used for. And so there's our box done. And then we've got our wrap that goes around it. And again, those measurements are 3 5/8 and 4 5/8 is where we were going to do the scoring. So I'm going to burnish those score lines as well. The idea for this is it's going to fit, and the box is going to sit inside. Okay, so I'll leave this open like this so we can see what we're doing. And it does reach just a small bit around the box. It has just a little wee border around the box. So we want to put some tear and tape or Stampin' Seal here. So I'm going to use the tear and tape. And I'm going to, I know it's going to have a small border, so I can comfortably go close to the edges. I'm going to put 3 strips. This is actually leftover tear and tape from a paper pumpkin project, so our usual one is a little bit wider. I'm just using up some of my stash here. So with that done, I'll just take my scissors, press the edges down, and peel off the backing sheets. This tear and tape is awesome for many of our 3D projects. It's good, strong tape. It's what used to be the red tape that everyone used to use in crafting. So I'm going to line this up so that I get that nice little border all the way around. I'm just going to use my bone folder inside to press it in place. You can put a piece of pattern paper in there or another piece to dress it up if you like. So now we're close to needing our designer series paper, but we want to hide this strip between the wrap and the designer series paper. So let's get that folded. And just to get a visual on how this is going to work, this is the bottom of the box. we're going to put this layer here, cover it up with our pattern paper, and then this piece wraps around, and that's where the Velcro dot's going to go. So to start, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm going to place this wrap piece around. I'm not too concerned about perfect placement. I'm going to line the edge up with the fold on the score line. But I'm not too worried if I'm not exactly in the middle of it. That's totally fine. And I just want to make sure it's going to fold up nicely. Okay. And now I'm ready to put my pattern paper on the back. These two pieces look very much the same, so it doesn't probably matter much if I use which one I use on the front and which one I use on the back. And it's cut just a little bit smaller than our piece and our wrap here. And then just looking over on the front, we want to put this down as well on the front. And this paper really doesn't have an up or down, but we want to put this down before we get the Velcro dot in place as well. So I'll get the liquid glue going here. I don't know, I kind of have my favorites for all different projects. My favorite types of glue. So because there's a piece here, I'm going to just hold it in my hands. But you know what? I bet that's the UPS truck delivering Stampin' Up! Product to me. How wonderful that Riley is kind enough to let us know that. Okay, dude, away you go. Riley. Riley, let it be. So kind of him to share that. Okay, so where are we next? The next piece is to get our Velcro dot on there. And to do that, I find it's easier to put it on the wrap and then place it over, rather than try to put the piece here and hope it marries up. So I just use these loop and hook, I think they're called, from the dollar store. You've got the hard plastic piece with a sticky back, and you've got your soft, fluffy piece with a sticky back. So I put the two pieces together, and then on here, closer to the edge, I am going to put the dot. And then to help me get this nice and flat in where it needs to go when it comes up, I'm going to, and I know it's a little bit, this box is just a little bit, the glue dot box is a little bit taller than the box I need. Actually, that worked out pretty well. Because once I think you get your treats in there, or your cards, or whatever it is you're going to place in there, it's going to hold more firmly than when you're pushing it down. All right, so now we're just needing to decorate. Got my beautiful butterfly that I will add a little bit of glue just to the center of him. Hi, buddy. I could have embossed that circle too. Lots of different choices. And then I'm just going to glue them on here. So I'm better to put my glue on this piece rather than hope to get it on the back of the circle and have it line up. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put some liquid glue here so that it has something to hang on to. I hope if you're watching this on the replay and you can give me a comment so I know that you had a chance to watch it. Tell me what you think of this kind of project. I love getting your feedback. So there we go. That guy is not quite as centered as I'd like. There we go. Yep, now it's centered. And then I've got some rhinestones I'm going to add on. This is how I am now storing all of my jewels. So rhinestone, these are the old, these are the sleeves that all of our dies come in, and they don't have any labeling on them anymore. So with my label maker, I can just go ahead and make it what I want. And then I will take your pick tool and put some rhinestones here. I've got 3 on this little piece left. That's perfect for this. I like things in 3s or 5. And that's that. He is done. So I hope you like this project. It's kind of a fun little quick 3D that you could put some cute candies or some small note cards inside with a few stamps and a mini pen. I don't know, all kinds of choices. But it makes a nice little gift. And I think for me, when I give mini glue dots away, it'd be a nice box to house them in. So thank you for watching. I hope that you'll check back on the other videos and have a wonderful week. I'll see you next week.